welcome back. We're going to build the view for our tic-tac-toe game now. All right, so what do we want to do? You remember from the demo that what we have here is we have a screen with a red background. We have a 3x3 table here centered in both directions, 20 dp for a margin kind of all around the edge here. We have the game state that we want to show. Remember, we coded that into our model, sort of above in center, 24 point. And of course, one of the different states that we had set up. We have a new game button that's down here. It's right aligned with the rest of the tic-tac-toe board itself. So we're going to have gray text here. And then we have buttons that are 100 points and 72 point text within them. And we're going to be using different indices for the IDs on these. And we're going to follow the same, the IDs are going to be button, and then here it's going to be which row it's in and which column it's in. And we're using the same numbers so that they match up with the rows and columns in our model, right? So how we're going to do this, you remember if we have things that are centered or aligned relative to each other, we're going to use a relative layout. So let's go into back into our tic-tac-toe game, check out the XML, right? So going back here into Android Studio, and we see that in our tic-tac-toe game, open this guy back up here. So we already have the model object itself. I'm going to close that up for now. We'll come back to it later. I don't need the tests or anything, or even the strings right now. But I'm going to go to activity-main.xml. All right. So right now it is nothing, right? So it probably has a constraint layout. So like we did for hello button, what we're going to do is start off and replace this constraint layout with a relative layout. All right, like so. And we're going to take out anything that has the word constraint in it. All right, very good. Let's do some of our backgrounds and resources. So the first thing is that we want a red color. So I'm going to go into my values. You remember how to do this. And in fact, I think you could do a lot of this on your own if you wanted to. But we'll build confidence, so we'll work on it together here. So the first thing is that we want a background color. So color name is color background. This time it's going to be red. So we're going to use, let's see, so 8000 should give us kind of this deep red color here. That's official Rose-Hulman red, by the way. And we're going to need a text color on this, color text, which is going to be a gray color. Gray is anything that has the same red, green, and blue components. So let's play around with some for a second here. That's a little bit dark. I want to go lighter, so maybe 9s. Now I want to go even lighter than that. How about A's? Okay, so A is hex value, so let's see, so that's 10. I might want to go lighter still. So yeah, that's getting closer, right? So remember we have a scale from 0 to F since they're hex, so C is closer to the top, closer to white. All right, so I've got some colors. I'm going to go back to activity main here and set in those backgrounds. So I want to go ahead and set the background on my layout to be the background color. And I have a text view here. It turns out that I actually don't need a text view. What I want is a table to be here in the middle. And if I go into layouts, I should find table layout, and I'm going to drag that guy in, and I really want it to be centered in here, right? So let's go ahead and pop this in, go back to text. I'm actually going to replace the text view, so I'm going to get rid of this guy altogether. We'll put one back in here in a couple minutes. All right, very good. And we see a table layout, and it says it's useless. That's okay because we don't really have anything in it. We will. What goes in here are table rows. Let's see. So I'm going to kill most of these for now, and I'm going to hard code just so we see here one that's going to be about 300 DPs, just so it takes up some room in our layout, so we can actually see something there. Now you'll notice that it's in the upper left-hand corner, so I need to center it. So I'll go back here and let's say center, and I want to center it in the parent. So the table layout centered within the relative layout, which is its parent within the layout tree, the hierarchy here. So let's see, so center in parent is going to be true. All right, I go back real quick, check to see that it did center. That's good. And let's put in our button within here. So format that guy. So I want the button relative to this layout, so it's going to show up underneath and right aligned. So I'm going to go back to common. I'm going to drag in button, and we'll get that guy there. And again, it's putting it up in the corner. So let's go take care of this guy. So its text is not going to be button. Its button should say new game. So I want new game, and I want a string for that. So I don't have a string. Oh, actually I do. I set this up last time. Excellent. So we're going to use new game right here. So we'll say at string / new game. So we get that guy to show up. Its width is just big enough to hold that, and its height is just big enough to hold it as well. And it has an ID here called button. I'm going to be a little bit more explicit. I'm going to call this the new game button, since I'm going to have many buttons because I have the whole board to worry about as well. And let's see. So I think that's okay. Let's see what it looks like here. Now I want to make it relative to this guy. So a couple things. So I want to be able to say that it's right aligned with the table layout. Okay. So I want to say something like layout, or even right align right. There it is. Android layout align right equals, and you see that it's asking for an ID. So I need to give my table layout an ID. So let's go ahead and add this. So Android ID, and we'll add one, and I'm just going to call it so button table maybe. It's the only table, so I could just call it table if I wanted, and then I can refer to it here. So button table. So it's aligned right, and just aligned right, not underneath. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and change this guy, and we will say, let's see. So below, right? I want it to be below the button table also. Okay. Good. Now it's immediately below it. I wanted basically a margin around this. So I'm going to go back into my table layout, and I will say that its layout margin should be, I believe what I said was 20 dp. All right, so something like that. So there we go. So that pushed it away from it a little bit. One more thing to add, and that's this text that is above here. So we'll go in, and I can put it anywhere I want. Usually I put the thing that everything else depends on first. So my table layout is kind of my anchor, and everything else is built off of it. So I don't have to put things in here going from top to bottom. Not constrained that way at all. So I'm going to make a text view here. Its width is going to be just big enough to wrap its content, and the same thing, its height is going to be just big enough to wrap its content. All right, so we'll add those two properties to it. Let's see. Eventually, I'm going to want to change it from within the text, so I'm going to need to give it an ID. So ID, and let's see. So what I want to use. So this guy. I mean, there's any one of a number of names that I could give it. I think I'm going to call it. So, oops, I lost my thing there. So at plus ID / and then we'll say like game state text view. Okay, like something like that. Where is it? Well, it's centered on the screen. So I will say centered, but not fully centered. It's only centered horizontally. All right, so we'll say center horizontal is true. And then it's going to be above my button table. That's right. Figured it out. Couple other things. So I want the text color to be set appropriately. And let's use the text color, that grayish color that we set up in our colors. And let's see, what else do I want? Probably the size. So I'll say the text size is going to have to be fairly big for me to be able to see it. I think I said 24. And remember, for text, we use scalable or scale independent points so that we can take into account font size preference. Now, it is here, but we have no actual text there. So I'm going to put in some placeholder text. So Android text is going to be something like new game. All right, just so we have something when we start up here. There it is. Looks like it could be bolded. So I'm also going to add a style here of bold. So text style bold. And I've got a string that I should refactor out here. So extract string resource, calls it new game. Yeah, that's okay. That is what it is. Oh, it says it already exists here. So maybe we can reuse that same string, right? So string new game. Go back to this guy. So this is to reset the game, and it says that we have a new game to start. The other thing that we could do if we wanted to just set it as X's turn, we could do that. We have one for there, and we know that's what it should say when it starts anyway. All right, very good. So this is the layout of everything except for the buttons themselves. We'll do that next time. See you then.